Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here again. I thought it was about time that I give you another update on how reintroducing carbohydrates has been working for me. If you are new here, my name is Jen Winkler. I'm a functional health and hormone coach, and I use all sorts of ways of eating to help women balance their hormones and their blood sugar. So welcome to my channel. All right, so here's the update. If you didn't see my last update, feel free to head back to my channel and watch the video. I'll have it linked in the description. I'm not going to get through all of that here, but basically I have abandoned, I guess you could say, ketogenic right now because my thyroid just wasn't working well, and I was just noticing myself continually starting to gain weight again, and I just wasn't losing that last bit of weight that I needed. There were also other issues that I prefer not to get into detail here. It's a little bit more private, but other issues that were arising, and anything I tried doing wasn't working. I was carnivore for a bit. I've been keto for a long time, and everything I kept reading kept saying that if you reintroduce carbohydrates, things will balance out. So I decided to do that. It has really been about a year that I've been reintroducing vegetables and fruits. So I did not go overnight from carnivore to 200 grams of carbs, okay? And I'm not 200 grams right now, but I'm going to walk you through what I went through. So I've been slowly rising the amount that I consume. And for a while it was around 20 grams, and then it was up to about 50, and it probably stayed there for a while because I thought that would be enough for me, but apparently it's not. One of the reasons I know that this is helping me personally is because I have dealt with a lot of stress throughout my life, from childhood through now, including the stress of just having epilepsy in general. Having that PTSD of, will I have a seizure? Is this funky feeling that I'm feeling right now? Is that a seizure coming? That is a lot of stress on my body. So I needed to do something that would help combat that, and I couldn't just keep staying in ketosis and ketogenic and add to the stress. That doesn't mean I'm against ketogenic. It doesn't mean I'm against carnivore. I do use it with clients from time to time, but I like to make sure that their body is prepared for it and that they're not under a significant amount of stress. Otherwise, it's going to be counterproductive. So I was at 50 grams and I wasn't really seeing much shift yet, except that I was able to enjoy a fruit here and there. So I decided, I want to say it was back in June-ish, that I decided to start having a lot more carbohydrates in the form of fruits and vegetables. And my primary source of carbohydrates, I would say, is fruits. I was doing a lot of like dates or figs for desserts. I would do those cutie oranges. I was doing apples, lots of watermelon during the summer, lots of cantaloupe and watermelon. I couldn't get enough. It was so good. It felt good and it felt refreshing. Kiwis were another one that I just felt like I couldn't get enough of. It was so delicious to me and made me feel good. So I had boosted up my carbs all the way to between 150 to 200 grams a day approximately. And I did clearly bring down the fats. It was still enough fat to support hormone production and all the things that we need fat for, but it wasn't a ketogenic macro split, obviously, with 150 to 200 grams of carbs. My protein was approximately 70 to 100 grams of protein a day. It just depends on the day and what type of meat we were cooking. If it was a higher fatty meat, then obviously my carbs were lower, but if it was a leaner cut, then I did my carbs that were higher. Now, how did that work out? I would say at first, the 150 to 200 felt fantastic for the first, few days. But then after that, I started getting a little more anxiety and a little more brain fog, so I decided to bring it down. And upon more research, I realized I think I went a little too quickly to go higher carb. So I brought it back down to about 75 to 100 grams of carb. There's an occasional day that I'll be 125. If I'm doing certain fruits like dates or figs, then that will boost it up pretty quickly. But those are my primary sources of carbs. Clearly, I do vegetables as well. I don't do them a lot though. I feel better with the fruits than I do with the vegetables. The vegetables I'll do are things like broccoli, cauliflower rice. When we do cauliflower rice, it's cooked really well to the point that it's browned. And I think that makes it taste a lot better and helps with my digestion. We do green beans, we do mixed vegetables, carrots. I've been doing carrot salads and really enjoying those actually. things like that. So there's been others I can't really remember, but I don't want to bore you. Rice has actually settled really well for me as well. Now, in the midst of exploring which of these whole food vegetables and fruits fit well for me, I found an incredible bakery called Proof Bakery, local here in Arizona, that makes sourdough breads as well as cinnamon rolls made from sourdough. And I decided to give those a shot. And my glucose only spiked 10 points with sourdough bread when I had obviously protein and fat with it. And I was just blown away. Just, wow, okay, I can do this then. So I continued to incorporate that. However, I did notice upon bringing in sourdough, it was really hard for me to moderate sourdough. Like, I wanted it every meal all the time. And so I did, because I felt the same way with the fruits, but I didn't have any negative effects. I was like, I want more of this fruit, and it was good. However, when I introduced this sourdough and I was doing it more often, I did notice a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of brain fog starting to come back. I wouldn't say a little bit, actually. It was a lot of anxiety. So I have cut it out for now, and I'm starting to feel better. Now, that being said, I don't feel like that means I can never have it. I think I was just overindulging in it too much, and I am going to try my best to maybe make it just a Sunday treat. I'm going to put some parameters around it so I'm not having it all the time. It is still in the house because we use it for the kiddos, and my husband and my mom, they all have it. So I'm just putting boundaries around for myself and saying, okay, maybe this is going to be my Sunday treat, or maybe this is my whatever day treat. So it's once a week. I'll test it out and see how that works. And I think it'll be fine, because that's what I was doing at first, and it was perfectly fine. Now, what kind of things improved when I introduced these carbohydrates? My gym performance, massively. I had tried all the other things, super high fat, increasing calories when I was carnivore and keto, but it wasn't working. This, however, really works for me. So going in the gym, when I'm lifting, I can lift heavier than I have lifted before, and I don't get exhausted. I don't feel like I have to come out of my bed and just lay down for hours, right? I don't just sit and doom scroll. I still feel productive and can get things done around the house, and I feel happier. Like, my mental health feels good on this, which is wild to me, because for the longest time, I'm like, keto is the best thing for mental health, and I know it is. I know it does really good things for mental health, but the fact that I am having fruits and my anxiety is better, my depression is better, it just blows my mind. I don't understand it. I wish I could explain it to you, but I know for me, this is where I stand. The other thing that improved was my sleep. My sleep had always been pretty good, but it has gotten better. I didn't know it could get better. I'm really excited about that. My heart rate is continuing to improve as well. So my resting heart rate, I've been working on for years, and it is finally going down into the 60s. It's been in the upper 70s, sometimes lower 80s. And now I'm seeing it pretty often in the upper 60s, lower 70s, which I am ecstatic about. I know part of that was my digestion. So that's another thing that has improved, is my digestion has always been off. Just getting stomach pains and cramps and all kinds of things. And no matter how I adjusted my macros on ketogenic and carnivore, it just wasn't improving. No matter what supplement I took, it just wasn't improving. I had spent so much money on supplements trying to fix it, and it wasn't working. So when I lowered the protein and the fat, so my protein, I don't remember if I said this, but my protein's typically like 70 to 100 grams of protein a day, and my fats are typically about the same, probably more like 50 to 90, fat's a little bit less. It just depends on the carb intake. When I lowered it to that, I haven't had any stomach pains. I don't have any bloating. Like, everything is hunky-dory. So I feel like I've finally found what works for me, and I'm really excited about it. The other thing that improved was my thyroid numbers, and I am going to do a full comprehensive blood work at the end of September, beginning of October, because I just wanted to give enough time for my body to adjust. Obviously, just like if you were going to do keto, you're not going to do blood work within the first 3 months of transitioning to that, because the numbers are going to be skewed. Your body's adjusting to things. So this is the same one. I just wanted to give enough time to my body to adjust, and then I'll do a full comprehensive of thyroid, metabolic health, lipids, all kinds of stuff, so we can see what's happening. and see if I'm becoming more insulin resistant by doing this. So stay tuned to that. Now, how did my blood sugar do? So I was recording on a CGM for the past, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. The CGM I used did not work very well. It kept dying around day 7. I went through 4 different CGMs. 2 of them didn't work at all. 2 of them died around day 7. So I had 2 weeks worth to look at things. When I was up between 175 to 100 grams of carbs, my blood sugar was consistently over 100. Even when it went back to baseline, it would stay around there. But when I lowered it to 75 to 125, now my blood sugar is under 100 with an occasional spike that is normal when you eat food, right? Like, it's okay to have a little bit of a spike when you are eating carbohydrates. That's not a bad thing. Insulin isn't the demon. It's okay to spike some insulin. There are benefits to insulin. There's a reason type 1 diabetics cannot live without insulin, right? We need insulin. So just clarifying that for the people that are going to hound me in the comments. So that's where I'm staying for now. I will see in the future where things go. But for now, that's where my level is, I guess you could say. Now, one of the things I just really want to emphasize, I really want to drill home, is that when I say I'm bringing in carbs, I'm not talking about potato chips. I'm not talking about cookies or ice cream. The cinnamon roll was an exception. I will admit that. I've had that twice this whole time. But the thing we need to realize is when we think of sugar addiction, when we think I have a sugar addiction, usually the foods that come to mind when people say that are your cookies, your cake, your ice cream, you know, the sweet treats. However, if you ever look at the macro breakdown of those, the carbs and the fats are both high. So an example, in our house, we have sweet potato chips. Kids eat them. I might have them on a rare occasion, like a small handful. But when you look at the breakdown of the nutrition, it says 150 or 180 calories. I can't remember. I'll put it here, whatever it is. 150 to 180 calories. The fat is 9 grams per serving, which comes out to 81 calories of fat. The carbohydrates were 16 grams, which comes out to 64 grams. The point being, there's a lot more calories from fat than from carbohydrates when you're eating those sweet potato chips. So just something to note, to pay attention to when you are bringing in what you think is carbohydrates. You got to make sure the majority of the nutrition value is carbohydrates. If you're claiming what I mean is, if you're claiming that you have sugar addiction and it's to certain foods, look at the breakdown and see, is it truly the carbohydrates or is it the mixture of the high fat and high carbs that you're addicted to? Just something I need to clarify out there. Because a lot of people, it's hard for them to binge on fruits. Like, fruits do not have a lot of calories unless you're having buttloads of them. But a lot of times the fiber, if you pick the ones with good fiber, a lot of times those will help fill you up. And if you're pairing it with proteins and fats, then you're probably not going to have as much of it. Now, everybody's different. I'm not going to say that falls in the camp for everybody, but for the majority of people, including myself, that is the situation. So yeah, making sure you're doing vegetables and fruits as the source of your carbohydrates, depending on the person. Some people might do better with some starches. Some people might do better with rice and things like that. It's just all different. So you have to test it out for yourself and figure that out. And just remember that foods are not merely their macronutrients. Just because a food has carbohydrates in them does not mean that they're bad. For me, the sourdough became a problem. That doesn't mean that I'm going to get rid of all carbohydrates. That doesn't even mean I'm going to get rid of sourdough forever. It might have just been I was doing it too much. I mean, we tell our kids sometimes, right, that you might be able to have a little bit here, but we're not going to let you have like 50 apples because that's too much, right? I know that's a weird example, but sometimes it's the quantity that is making the problem and not what the actual thing is. So keep that part in mind for yourself if you're watching this for your own journey as well. Hey guys, I totally forgot to say one more thing that is probably the elephant in the room, where people are wondering, did you gain weight, Jen? Like, what is it looking like? And I forgot to mention, no, I haven't. My weight has been steady right in the same 3 pounds, give or take, the whole entire time. So I just forgot to mention the part, so I'm adding that right here. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention was my gut test. I have been meaning to redo my gut test for a while. I did one about 2.5 years ago. I did a GI map and I didn't really get a lot out of it. I saw that I had some low beneficial bacteria. I didn't have any negative unfriendly bacteria on that test. My digestive enzymes were okay, but could use some improvement. And I tried digestive enzymes and I violently threw up taking them. I tried a different brand and I also violently threw up. So clearly my body did not want more digestive enzymes. But that was pretty much all that was on it. So this time I did a different test called Tiny Health, and it gives way more information and helped me to see a lot of what is going on. And I did have some dysbiosis, high amounts of some unfriendly bacteria. My good bacteria, the beneficial bacteria, was okay. It was on the cusp. It was in range, but on the cusp. And no one wants to be on the cusp of the edge. You want to be in the middle. So I will be on a gut protocol for the next few months, working on that. My intestinal lining was also a hot mess, and I have gut inflammation. So this test I did before really ramping up the carbs. So just to clarify that, it wasn't the carbohydrates that's ruining this. This was a gut test I did back then, and I've just been waiting for the results. It does take a little bit. Anyhow, yeah, so I'm going to do all the things that I have seen that is supposed to help with gut health, and the supplements and the foods, including fibers and prebiotics, homemade yogurt, all the kinds of things to help fix it. So if you do want to see what these results look like, feel free to throw a comment down below and I can do a separate video going over my results using the Tiny Health Gut Test so you can kind of see what that looks like. And then I'll even go over my own personal protocol and what I will be doing. That gut test really made me realize that carnivore and keto were not helping my gut. They were not. And maybe for some people they do see results, but the tests that I have seen people do is when they do carnivore short term, like 30 to 90 days, and then they do a gut test to prove it works well. But I want to see a gut test on somebody who does it long term, just to see what's going on. And I'm talking carnivore. I'm not talking about I'm having carnivore with some sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir. Like if you're incorporating the beneficial prebiotic foods, then perhaps you might be fine. I don't know. This is something I'm still learning myself as well. I feel like I'm a weird, perplexed case. I am the strange puzzle that doctors hate to get. Because when I say, hey, I have this symptom, and they said, do you have this situation? Do we do this test? And everything's coming out normal. And they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I don't know either. I will research my butt off and I cannot figure it out. So anyhow, that's where I'm at. I am incorporating prebiotic foods. I am incorporating things like kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, homemade yogurt, all those things that feed the beneficial bacteria. And I've been doing homemade yogurt for, 2 years at least. So I've been having that for a while and my gut is still not that great. So that's where things are at. Life has been really busy. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see that I have not been posting much. School has started. Homeschooling has started. This is 4th grade for my little guy, and there is a lot of hand holding that needs to happen, a lot of reading together. History is a big subject and he's not great at history. So I can't just prop him over there and do his work anymore. I actually do have to guide him in this. And then, as you may have seen in the last video, we are fostering as well. So that is also taking up time. I wish I could share with you all the things about him, but I can't. So that's that. That's where things are at. I will continue to do updates. So if you want to still see what's going on, make sure you subscribe here to get notification of future episodes, because it seems like things are starting to die down on Instagram. I do an occasional post, but it's definitely not going to be as consistent as it is here. So thanks so much for showing up. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'm going to start doing videos answering your questions from YouTube comments as well. And yeah, I look forward to it. Have a good one, guys.